I'm Quintel Harcum. I founded Greenbook Digital, where I help businesses save time and cut costs using AI tools and systems. And I started Johns Hopkins. I partnered with them to launch their first ever health cafe and juice bar on their campus using some of my systems. And since I closed out the cafe, I've been on a mission to help 20 more businesses use those same early AI systems to get things up and rolling. And the ultimate goal is to build a portfolio of digital brands where I can help entrepreneurs and founders, like Black and Brown founders, to scale their businesses with smart systems, smart tools, and really smart design to grow their business.
Awesome. So one of the things that I'm really excited about in speaking with you is to really cross the bridge, if you will, between some of the methodology that we've traditionally had around building out customer experiences and sort of, what does leadership in the customer experience look like, and how that's melded into the advent of AI and some of the benefits that you've seen towards your business with AI, how you've been able to sort of choreograph, if you will, outcomes for your business, but then also how you've been able to leverage the compelling stories behind AI to further your growth, even throughout not just your journey with your current business, but what maybe that might potentially look like for you in the future. So one of the things that I know that you've had a lot of great discovery and sort of outcomes with, if you will, just talking about like great use cases that you've come across in your business, use cases where you have leveraged AI, where you built AI or built AI type around use cases, especially during your time as a juice bar owner. So I'd love to kind of understand a little bit more of that. Well, what are some of those use cases, and maybe share with the audience what that looked like for you?
Yeah, so it's a lot of use cases, and I like what you said about the customer relationship part, because that was a part of the use case. So when I had my juice bar, I didn't have any partners. And so I had to manage everything from front end to back end. But the part that I got the most response to, surprisingly, was the marketing part. And it was a surprise because my background is in design, some in marketing, but I'm more of an introverted person. When you go into business, you got to step up and just be the person for the business. So you just got to do whatever you got to do. So when it came down to AI, when AI was released, and you could actually use it, everybody could use it for ChatGPT, and it was only $20, I was like, yeah, I'm about to get the most out of this. So the best use case was to make it a strategic partner. So the very first thing you do is you get in and you start typing, and you answer the thing and give you back an answer. So it's super exciting and it's fast. And then I was like, everything that I did, I worked at the cafe, at the juice bar, 12 to 14 hours a day, and most of the time was on my feet. I'm like, I gotta lighten this load. So once they made it so that you can attach files and things like that, I just started dumping files in and said, this is what I have going on. I want to be a better juice bar. I want to get X result. Some of those results, what I want to do, better marketing. I need to train my staff better. I need to streamline my inventory because I'm kind of stretched out between 3 different storage spaces. And once I gave it all of the information, it could spot the blind spots, and it was coming back with strategy. It was like, hey, Quintel, make a master spreadsheet so you can track. I was like, all right, well, I know how to make Google Sheets, but it's dropping off. One, my team, my manager, he don't know how to use it, and it's no knock to him. Nobody likes looking at spreadsheets. So make it simple so I can train him. So it gave me instructions. I put the instructions right in one block on the first page of the spreadsheet. So you don't see a bunch of numbers and stuff, you just see directions. So it makes it more approachable, right? So AI gave me that. Then I said, well, it's dropping off from the beginning to the end, the first storage area to the next. That's when I used it to build app scripts. So, in Google Sheets, it has app scripts. It's basically code that triggers certain things in your Google Sheet. So Excel has the same thing. Airtable has some rendition of it too. So I had it code these scripts for me so I can make sure I got enough matcha. Make sure, because when you have dry goods, you have so much of it, you don't really keep a strong eye on it. How many bananas you have, because you can see it, but you may not see all of the dry goods. So I'm like, every time we use up, if I pull one box of a dry good, say it's like dates or almond slices, we used to go through those crazy. I pull almond slices from the front room, I put it in the spreadsheet, and now it's telling me, boom, -1 here, +1 here, -1 there. And so I used it as to crunch data and to give me strategy. So those were the two those moved the needle as far as the actual money, because it saved me money and time. And to grow money, is content. That's the thing that everybody loves, because we can make videos, we can write emails and blog posts. And so I use it a lot for my email marketing. So I built a lot of the base of my customer base, email marketing and SMS, text messaging. So I had to do the email campaigns for me and things like that. So crunching data, strategy, and content creation, those are the top things I used it for in my juice bar.
So that's really compelling. So you talk about, this sort of themes around, one of the business outcomes that you obviously gained was like productivity. So you were able to minimize some of the effort that you would have had to put in through some very sort of, labor-intensive, mundane type work. You've now been able to leverage the advent of AI to be able to do that. My question to you is, there's obviously a value there, because you were able to now focus less on that type of work. You were able to sort of automate that, drive that over through solutioning through an AI platform. What were you able to do with that time that you gained? Like, what were some of the more compelling, more high value activities you were now able to do now that you did not have to focus on dry goods management or inventory management from that standpoint?
Yeah, so I was able to do much better marketing because I was able to take time to be creative and kind of tap into the creative side of all the things I did for the juice bar. We set up student campaigns. So I improved the menu. So I was able to either cut out, I was able to actually see what's selling, cut out things that didn't, create new things seasonally. So now I got more time to create new things, put more excitement and energy around the products that we were putting out. I was able to move on to build curriculum. So I did health coaching as well. After a while at the juice bar, it was plant-based. So everything there was plant-based. So some people want to help converting to a plant-based diet. I felt it was a great opportunity for me to be a health coach. I'm also a certified holistic nutritionist. So I was like, well, nobody knows because I'm behind the counter making smoothies all day. But then I had time to free up. So I made curriculum for that. I was able to sell that. That was being sold online. But I was also able to host classes. Like, I don't have to be in the cafe now that things are a bit more refined and easier to manage for the team. So I put together curriculum and I would host coaching classes at Johns Hopkins. So I was inside of a full rec center, and it was a few multi-purpose rooms actually. So I was able to basically add on new products to the business. I was able to explore some other business opportunities within the business, like do more pop-ups at different locations, join food festivals, and not be so tied to the cafe. Like, I love the cafe. I'd rather have the customers come to us than to go take the show on the road, because that was a different setup for my business. So it was a bit taxing, but you still want to get out and meet the people. And I couldn't do that if I didn't take care of the things on the back end with AI. So I was able to grow the business in multiple ways: digital products, courses and curriculum, pop-up shops, and a few other things. Like, I did some other kind of coaching for helping people just figure out how to do their marketing and stuff like that. But those are the things that really allowed me to grow and see different ways I can make money other than just pouring into the actual juice and smoothies and food.
What came after this for you? You talked a little bit about the nutrition coaching. It almost feels like you might have even had an opportunity there to just sort of build a practice around how other businesses can leverage the benefits in the way that you have, become more efficient, become more productive. I'd love to kind of get your perspective on how you've transformed yourself personally from a professional standpoint in using AI as an engine for you.
So I'll tell you exactly what happened, Brandon. As the cafe was going into the last year of the contract, I was being quoted by another company, food and beverage. They were in the vegan dessert space to manage their business so they can grow. They had a really great operator, and he mentored me and showed me some things. And so I went and I basically worked to learn how to manage, see what his operation was like. Mm-hmm. And I realized how much that I'm not as effective. I won't say I didn't like it. It just wasn't for me. I really realized how much working in food and beverage wasn't for me. And when I actually before I went in, and as I was like studying and like prepping, like, yeah, this is my man, I want to be able to work with them and help them. All my ideas were about either business efficiency or digital growth for the business, right? So it's a dessert shop, so we're selling more food and beverage. Somebody has to make it. Like they said, you literally got to wake up early to make the donuts. Like you really do. Like you have to get up early and like make these desserts. And I was like, I'm not trying to do that, even at a managerial space. And it was more of a partnership, like an acqui-hire, right? They would help expand the juice bar away from Hopkins and use my systems to grow across both brands. But I said, hey, this is my actual strong suit, like the operations and the systems and that part. That's what they really want. They don't not like the other stuff, but this is what they really want. I was like, oh, cool. I'm gonna just lean into that. And so that's what I started doing. And I started doing it through the coaching first. And what I realized is that I'm not as strong as a coach because it was very close to me. So it was hard for me to translate it enough for a lot of people to be as successful. Like I'm not as helpful here. I went into the next best thing. People still wanted me for those systems. And so I was getting either my warm network would reach out and say, hey, well, you got time to help me with my marketing here. You got time to help me with this over here. And so I started building that. And so Green Book Digital, my business now, just started out as digital solutions. But that's a bit too vague. I was able to do quite a few different things, but I realized like I got to get a little more focused. And as I was going through more clients and getting different clients for either operation solutions or marketing solutions, all of it was layered on top of AI. And then I started to get into the new coding tools. They call it vibe coding. They're AI agent assistants where you could just, it writes the code for you. You just tell it what you want and it writes the code for you. And I said, well, because I had a decent understanding of what outcomes I want, and I knew a bit about like doing app scripts, and I knew a little bit about code and design. I know basically how to put together the thing that somebody will be working with to build out their business or increase something in their business. All of it was laid on top of AI. And I was like, well, that's the thing. That's the thing I should probably be offering because that's the thing that offers the most impact for businesses. Yeah. And I just want to see businesses win. I just like business. Like there's a growth that comes from business. It's almost like having your own child because you produce something just out of the magic that you have as a human being. And I was like, that's the space I need to be in. It don't need to be about juice. It don't need to be about food. Can I help this business operation get better? And the AI part was fun. Everything I do isn't based around AI though. It's really about like making the operations better. Most people don't understand that you have to be a very high level consultant and be talking to people at a very high level who know that just like having a strategic partner or like a COO come in and do these things. So AI is really just like the deliverable, the tool, the hot button that people really understand. And because I've been using it every day for the last 2 years, it's kind of been like the thing I've been using.
I think that's awesome. And I really want to double click on that because we get really immersed in sort of, AI. We do this because of AI. We do that because of AI. I actually would submit that it is the outcomes that business, we have the way that business is shaped now and the way that we have to prescribe our journey to these various outcomes require another medium, another method, right? And there's a whole sort of collage of these different methods and these different mediums that have to come together pretty succinctly and pretty perfectly to deliver the outcomes that make us competitive, that make us attractive, that make us operationally excellent, right, as a business. And these solutions that are powered through large language models or agentic AI, whatever however you think about it, or just their paths to necessitate these outcomes, if you will. But the outcomes and the journey to get there were evolving, right? One of the things that I hear a lot of folks say in, sort of this sort of high level anecdotal response that you hear a lot of the public say is, oh, AI is a threat to my job, right? AI is going to work me out of my job of whatever it is that I do. I would argue that if you feel like that's a threat to your job or what you do, then there were probably existential threats prior to any of this, right? Yep. There's pressures on what you do every day, and there's challenges where we have to evolve in our roles and what we do and the way we think about it and the outcomes that we're driving. So I'd love to just, double click on that for just a second, because you said something that hit on all of this, which is, if we take a step back, there's actually a desire for you to focus on driving business outcomes. And some of that's underpinned by, whatever sort of automation and productivity sort of gains that you get from AI, whatever. But then there's probably some other stuff in there, in there too, that's sort of underpinning that value that you bring to business operations. I'd love to kind of understand what some of those other things are, and maybe even how that's.
Sure. So what I've learned talking to a lot of different business owners, including myself, after being coached and really writing a lot of things down, is sometimes we're unclear on what the outcome is, or the outcome that gets the actions that get the best outcome. So sometimes we think we have like a demand issue, we need more customers, when really it's a supply issue. You don't have enough staff to cater to the customers. Or they might get it reversed, where they have too much supply, not enough demand. So you're basically thinking more about, like, for example, when I first started, I opened my juice bar directly across the street from a Smoothie King. So I'm thinking that I'm competing with Smoothie King. I'm not selling the same thing like a Smoothie King customer, a person who is a real customer of Smoothie King will come purchase from me, but a person who is a real customer of a plant-based juice bar may not purchase from Smoothie King. So I'm selling health. I'm selling the confidence that comes with knowing that you are doing the right thing for your mind and your body, right? And that's when I realized, that's a different outcome. At Smoothie King, they might just want something pseudo-healthy that's not expensive. That's the outcome that they sell there. I was actually selling health, and I didn't think about it until you do a bit more studying. And now I realize, this is a different outcome. So I need to set my operation up around that outcome, which is why I needed to lean more into marketing so I could better communicate that outcome and connect with those customers. And so when I'm talking with clients now, we have to get clear on what is the outcome that are you trying to make more money? Are you just trying to grow subscribers? Are you trying to save money? Because saving money, that may be more instant than growing money, right? Than earning more revenue. So I do have a lot of early conversations around what is the actual goal so we can get the outcome, because what we implement may not necessarily have to be around AI. The good thing about it is that once people start to talk about what they actually want and they get clarity, then they realize that they can actually use AI, because most people don't know all of the software or the tools or even the quick customizations you can make to actually get that outcome. And so I think that is actually also that's pretty fun to me too. Once you understand what you want to get done and then figuring out the path to get there.
Very important to make sure that you're clear and that you help business owners and entrepreneurs and business leaders be clear on what their outcomes are, what their outcomes need to be. One thing that I found in my experience is a lot of business leaders and entrepreneurs and business owners are looking for partners to tell them what they don't know, to challenge them and constructively.
Yep.
And so I sort of take that and I always pin in the back of my mind, ask why. So if someone comes to me and it says, listen, I have an outcome of being the biggest plant-based healthy juice provider in the world or in the country or in the state, wherever. My question would generally be why? Why is that important to you? Well, because of why. If you, and generally, listen, what it generally pins business leaders down to is like all those things that we know are on the horizon, and I need to ward that off, right? Margins, and so that I can reinvest in my business or return money back to my shareholders or pay debt. Core reasoning behind why these I need to are so important. So I need to. I guess it's always important to understand. Right? There's a low barriers of entry. What is a real competition? Outcome? Like, what's up? There's a desired state. There's a desired thing, right? Every business owner would love the fact, or every business leader would love the fact that like they. If you're not clear on the why, the root of, then that could potentially be not as impactful for you. You have these incredible book of business towards your business. The doors are always open. The long as you think they are waiting for because what you're interested in is recurring. If there's what you're interested in is sustainable business. What you're interested in are you want people to come back. Right? It's more important for me. Customer loyalty may be more important for me than this one-time traffic that's coming in and out, right? So I've got to begin to build an experience for these folks when they come into my business or when they engage in my product that will allow some stickiness and some loyalty there and that type of thing, right? So I think that this idea of getting to the root of what the true outcome is sort of found of what the true outcomes should be, is foundational, because on top of that, you're going to layer on an experience that you want to provide, right? That includes your product, but also includes a lot more than that. So I'd love to kind of get your thoughts on how important has it been to be, you talked about, what it is that you're truly in business to do, what it is you truly have those outcomes. So how have you then pin on an experience, right, to that's driven like the things like customer loyalty and stickiness with your customer, and so that you can begin to get a more predictable business model and you can begin to drive recurring revenue, and you can begin to think about things like, I'm making money now, right? And I'm paying off debt, and I'm bringing money back to shareholders, and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I think it takes time to figure those things out. I may have some experience in business, but I'm still figuring some of those things out. And sometimes it's easier to see it with someone else because you're not so close to it, right? You have an outside point of view, but ways that I've been able to do it is, I feel like all business is an extension of the founder of the business, right? So that means you have to continuously work on yourself in order to get better outcomes for your business. The better you are, the better you can manage your team, build better products, build a better brand, and all those things. So you got to be clear about who you are and where you stand. That the same, going back to the Smoothie King version, I realized who I was. I stood for health. So as long as I'm running Good Part and Company, my juice bar and health cafe, I need to focus on how do I get the best health results. If I got to charge more money, that's fine. I'm getting the better health results. So autonomy was my number one thing, right? Some people are driven by money. Some people just want freedom. And, I play sports. I'm competitive. I want to beat people sometimes. But more than anything, I was raised the only child. And when I really did some deep diving, I want my time. I want my freedom. So that's a personal thing of mine. So I get more freedom by working online other than and not having to show up to a physical location all of the time. That's a bit more autonomy for me, right? So just knowing more about yourself, that helps you get just more clear on how the business best serves you. And then when it comes to the business, like you said, you may want to improve the customer experience or improve recurring revenue. So you may have to reconfigure your business model so that you can keep money coming in, and it may not be as much money as it may be more dispersed, but it's more long-term and it actually grows incrementally and consistently. So you may have to reevaluate your business model sometimes. And a lot of times I have people most of the good business owners, they kind of have a plan loosely written down somewhere. I don't really trust people who don't write things down. So whether you're doing a note, whether you're doing a note in your phone, you got a whiteboard and a picture of it, or you got a physical journal or something. So most of the best entrepreneurs, they got some stuff written down. And it seems super elementary, but that napkin situation, that means something. That was that spur of the moment feeling. That was that result you wanted to get. I just need to get from A to B. Right? I know it's a C and D, and I know all the way down the line, but sometimes that A to B is just, I do that part. And a lot of times that's what it takes. What's the best step in your business? Because we all try to process too many steps at one time, and then you don't see any success. So I just try to figure out what's the next best thing for me. And then if I'm going through an audit with a client, like an AI audit, what's the next best thing? And I also ask people to, like you said, in comparison to what I might ask them, how do you know that this is bottleneck is more important than this bottleneck, right? So because if the biggest bottleneck, the rest of the stuff is either going to get easier or revealed to be unnecessary. And so those are really, that's the questions, like you said, asking about that why. And I tie it back to how the person is and what they really, really want to accomplish. Even if it's a very selfish thing. Like, I don't judge them. If you want to I just want to get that $10 million. I don't know anybody whose goal that was at the time, but that's what somebody was telling me, and that's what they wanted to get done, and they're not hurting nobody, and I can help them, then that's what we doing. But because they clear on it, and they going to do what they got to do to make it happen, and those are the kind of people that I like to support. So, yeah, okay. Just asking those deeper questions is really about the person, not just about the business.
What's next for Quintel? What's on the horizon? What's next for you?
So, like I was saying, right now I'm on a mission to help at least 20 more businesses by the end of 2025. That's a stretch. We only got a few more months, but that's my stretch goal, to partner with 20 more businesses to implement some kind of AI system. And long term, like I said, I want to build a portfolio of digital brands. So before I started doing more AI services, I was doing marketing services, and I saw different places where how it's helpful, but also if you don't make a certain amount of money, your marketing budget is small, you don't feel like marketing is that important. But really, you always have to market, or you're never going to get new customers, or you're never going to stay engaged enough with the current customers you have. So you have to do marketing to some degree. So like having a suite of digital tools or digital brands, whether it be multiple agencies, or if it's just like small micro software to help other businesses implement whatever they need to get done, whether it just be something that helps you just do email really good. And that email might only be focused on whatever the niche is or industry that you work in, right? And then like in my case, I started working on, since I did such a decent job with that Google spreadsheet, I was like, well, I know a lot of other like cafes and small restaurants and carryouts, they could use this too to manage their inventory better. Because if one thing that carryouts and smaller food businesses don't do, we do not keep up with that point of sale inventory system, right? So it's very complicated. It's just, we don't like it, and it costs too much, right? We don't get the most benefit, we don't get the most for our money when we're using those types of things. So I'm like, oh, there's an opportunity there to build a smaller type of software that's much more user friendly. It's way more beautiful. They got better design, better fonts, better colors. It's easier to log into. You can attach it to easy tools like Google Sheets, right? So long term, that's what I'm looking to do. Build out an agency, or basically a holding company, where we have like multiple different brands where we could basically supply whatever our core customer base would need when it comes to like digital tools. And even if it's just manuals and training on how to use the tools. Like, we may not build the tool, but I may have a team of people who are trained on digital tools. And so we just go in and you just hire a coach from Green Book, and the Green Book coach come in and walk you through the tools you can use for your might help implement the tools, or maybe you know enough about how to do it, but you just needed to get set on the right course. So I'm looking to build those things out, and I just do it one step at a time. Right now, as I'm helping businesses, I'm just collecting data, and I'm seeing where all of the gaps are in the market, and then I'll figure out which one I can attack best first, and hopefully get some partners along the way.
Yeah, for sure. So Quintel, how can folks find you?
Yeah, well, I'm on YouTube at Stringer Quell. It's a reference to The Wire, like Stringer Bell. But that was one of my friends, his little brother used to call me Quell because he couldn't pronounce my name, Quintel.
Yeah.
So on YouTube and Instagram at Stringer Quell. And my website, if you have a small business and you want to learn more about how you can use digital tools to cut costs or save time, it's reportcard.greenbook.co. And you get a report card that'll tell you all of basically the top 10 things that people are using now to leverage AI to just get more efficiency in their business. Again, saving time or saving money. So reportcard.greenbookdigital.co, and you can just get your report card there.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Quintel, for your time. Really appreciate all the insights that you've provided. And I'm hopeful that folks are able to take away not only the compelling stories that you have as to how your journey across entrepreneurship and into this new phase of entrepreneurship that you're in, where you're providing consultative services to others, but that also there's an underpinning and an enablement there through AI that sort of empowered you to think about these things in a much broader aspect. That capacity has been created through the efficiencies and the productivity gains of AI. And I think that's sort of, at least for me, my biggest takeaway is that, just understanding how your journey has evolved into something really, really compelling and really big, just because you've been able to find some productivity and some efficiency gains in what you were currently doing. So I really appreciate you sharing that story with me, and we look forward to hearing more from you.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it, Brandon.
Thank you. Thanks everybody for listening.